And sometimes you don't feel inspired or challenged to grow is because nothing around you looks like growth. You need people around you. You need environments. You need to be exposed to things that make you grow, that make your baby leap. Like Mary and Elizabeth, you need friends, you need people around you um that make you come alive, that make you say, "No, I'm doing better." Yo, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever, wherever you're watching this episode. I want to say welcome to season 3. Welcome to season 3 of Peculiar You, the podcast. I am your host, Rachel Ruby, and I count it a privilege and an honor that you're here with me for another episode. Before we hop into our conversation, come on, do all those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube things, turn your notifications on so that you know whenever a new episode is dropping. All right, so let's hop into this conversation. By now, you know that season 3 is about all things growth. Grow up. And for the last 13 to 15 months, I just felt and continue to feel the prompting of the Lord to grow, to mature, to grow in every area of my life. And so I want to challenge you, just as the Lord has been challenging me for this last year and some change, to be intentional about your growth. Here's the thing. This growth journey, it's not about anybody else. It's not about what other people are doing, but no, this thing, if you're gonna grow, this thing is personal. This thing is between you and the Lord. Look, Michael Jackson would say, "I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking this man in the mirror to change his ways." Listen, because if you being honest, you trying to change other people, but you can halfway change yourself. Listen, so this thing is personal. This thing is personal, and it's all about growth. Jesus, he told Peter, one of the disciples in the Gospels, it records this, that Jesus told Peter, "Follow me, and I will make you a fisher of men." Follow me, follow Jesus, and I will make you a fisher of men. You know, that verse and that statement alone depicts change, depicts growth, depicts that when you follow Jesus, your life should look different. When you follow Jesus, you should be challenged to change. And not just that, as I already mentioned, Peter was one of the 12 disciples that left everything to follow Jesus. And so what we want to talk about today, what our conversation is about today, is kind of keying on that change, growing. That, listen, if you're going to grow, the right community is essential for your growth. Can you say that with me? Come on. I know we just chopping it up at this point. The right community is essential for your growth. And I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm challenged by this. The Lord challenges me in this area continually because I know y'all won't believe this, but I'm an introvert by nature. That I love people. I really do. I love people. But comma, I do love people, but I feel recharged and rejuvenated when I get some alone time. When I'm able to think and when I'm able to process. And sometimes it's hard for me to process with a lot of people around. And so I find happiness, really. I ain't sad. my niece when she sees me, shout out my baby. She always asks me, "TT, are you lonely? You live by yourself. Are you lonely?" And I'm like, "No, baby, TT is okay. Just keep praying for TT, pray for you, a uncle to come on." But at any rate, and so I'm challenged by this community thing because of my natural proclivity. But let me tell you this, that the Lord has challenged me, and I'm challenging you, especially for single people. Community is so vital because if you are a single person, then you might not necessarily continually always have that mirror that you would have, that you should have in a marriage per se. And so you don't have that person that's always like the friction point that shows you that shows you like, no, you're not altogether lovely, you're not altogether beautiful. And so living in community exposes your weakness, it exposes your strengths. And so that's why it's critical, because God is trying to develop some things on the inside of us, and some things don't come to the surface until you are in community. Did you hear what I said? I said some things on the inside of you don't come to the surface until you are in the right community. And so I'm gonna talk about different aspects of community, and then I'm gonna wrap it up with environment. Come on, stick with me. I think a part of your community should be good, solid friends. I hear you say, Ray, I ain't got no solid friends. Listen, pray. Pray that God will surround you with the right friends. I can remember, speaking of growth, I can remember in friendship, I can remember a time in college and even my post-college days, but my time in undergrad at Tennessee State University. Although the environment, some of the environment may have been toxic around me, I felt a sense of, as I look back, um, I felt a sense of like I was insulated because I had the right community around me supporting me. We were like-minded people. I remember we would go to what is it that I forgot what it's called, but it was the Faith Athletic Club. And I was surrounded by people that were serious about their relationship with Christ. And so we were like-minded in a lot of ways. And we're still talking about growth, right? I remember having a friend, shout out Kesey, the greatest friend, the greatest definition of friend that I've ever known. God rest her soul. What a real one. They they don't make them like her no more. Shout out to my girl Kesey. And I just remember so many of the principles that she taught me as it relates to friend. And I had a high level of respect for Kesey because she challenged me in ways that many other people didn't. And so she challenged me to grow, like, nah, girl, like you tripping, or not, girl, that was immature. You gotta grow up. You gotta grow up in your mindset. And so and and I had a high level of respect for that. Many people would probably shun away from it, but when a friend loves you, then you can receive it all. You can receive it all. Like, nah, this she ain't on no hate and stuff. Like, I know she right, and I know that it's causing me to grow. And so the right friend group is important. Somebody also asked me a couple of weeks ago uh about fun, about how a Christian should enjoy their spare time. What does fun look like? Here's the thing, when you're growing, you have to allow God to redefine what fun looks like. And that has a lot to do with your friend group. And so your turn up shouldn't look the same as your turn up was when you were living in the world. There should be a difference about you. And your friend group, like I said, has a lot to do with that. And so if you're challenged by that, ask God. Ask God to bring quality Christian like-minded people in your close circle. In your close circle. And I believe that he will do just that. Now be careful. You start praying those prayers and some friendships will fall off. I'm talking about friendships you've known for years and years and years and years. Where does your loyalty lie? I don't know. My loyalty lies with Christ. And so I'm going with Christ all the way, for sure, for sure. And yeah, so I think you should pray to that end. I think another thing in your community, if we're talking about growth, I don't know if many people talk about this, but the church community, you should have a local church community that challenges you to grow. You should have a local church community that challenges you to grow. Because here's the thing, we can't forsake the assembly of our church. Reels are cool. YouTube is cool. All of that is cool. But I think it's vital that if you want to be challenged to grow, you need a local church that God has called you to join. Here's why. Um, my pastor, shout out, shout out to my pastors. I really do love them. My pastor, Apostle Wells, he said some things many years ago that always stuck with me. And he said, while he was preaching years ago, he said that you need a landing spot to become. You need a landing spot to become all that God has called you to be. And I believe that the church, in many ways, should be that landing spot to grow, to become, to sit under sound doctrine and sound teaching. The Bible describes that the word of God is alive, is powerful, is sharper than any two-edged sword. And so the local church, by way of the preacher, or by way of the set man or woman of God in the house, should be delivering a word that challenges you to grow. Don't get mad. Look, if it hit you, it hit you. And if it don't hit you yet, trust me, the word is coming to hit you down the road. But yeah, the word should be coming to develop you and to be like he said, the church is a landing spot for you to become in your gifts, even in your emotions. Do you run when things get hard and difficult? Even what I'm learning, that the church has been my landing spot to become, because it even challenged me to grow in my leadership styles, in how I care for people and deal with people, and even how I handle stress, and how I handle trying to fulfill a vision, or trying to put together events and things like that. It makes me consider people. And I've been praying this prayer this year, especially as it relates to growth and leadership, is, Lord, help me to see through the lens of love. Help me to see through your lens, which is love. And I want to see people, and I want to even whatever sphere that God has called me to lead, we want to lead with love. And so yeah, the church should be a part of your community that challenges you to grow. The other thing is mentors. I hope maybe I can get a mentor or two up here to kind of talk through this in detail. But models, mentors, they challenge you in ways that are necessary for your growth, right? Um, you shouldn't be an independent person. You shouldn't be a lone ranger, but you should have some people in your corner that can jack you up, that say, oh no, you tripping. Or no, like, you're better than that. Um I know I got people in my corner that if I act like I was going the wrong way, they'd be like, no, 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 baby. What you doing, baby? Um, kind of get you back on the straight and narrow. And you need that in your life, because we're all prone to error. We're all prone to blind spots. And people like models, mentors, role models, they keep you focused on the purpose and on the goal that you set for yourself, right? They keep you focused even over the purpose that God has for you. Sometimes mentors, pastors, role models, they can see they have a level of oversight in your life that maybe um they can see better for your life where you can't even see it yet. And so they challenge you in a way to grow and to come up in a way that is unique. I think the other thing that even came to my attention a couple of weeks ago was that if you're going to grow, environments matter. right? Being in the right environments matter. Environments are essential to growth. And sometimes you don't feel inspired or challenged to grow is because nothing around you looks like growth. You're the biggest fish in your bowl, and nothing or no one is challenging you to grow. And so environments matter. I was in Mississippi. I was in Mississippi a couple of weeks ago, supporting my girl. Shout out Tay. And I was down at a women's conference, I guess it was, in Mississippi. And what an amazing work. What an amazing work they are doing there. I believe it's Cleveland, Mississippi. And in the country, in the country. And I remember leaving out. I only stayed for one day, but I remember leaving out of that place feeling so inspired to grow in a creative way, feeling so inspired to grow even in my giftings, feeling so inspired to be a better person, to love, to display the love that I felt when I walked into the building, to really be the hands and feet of Jesus. um I felt so inspired. And here was the most beautiful thing. It was a room full of women. I don't know, probably a couple hundred women. And I walked in the place and I just felt love instantly. No competition, no backbiting, but women of literally different age, different generations coming together. And it was the most beautiful thing that I have experienced in some time. And I left that place, and many places like that, just exposed to different environments, inspired to grow, inspired to do better. You need people around you. You need environments. You need to be exposed to things that make you grow, that make your baby leap. You know, like Mary and Elizabeth, you need friends, you need people around you um that make you come alive, that make you say, no, I'm doing better. I feel challenged to do better in this area. I'm challenging you to grow, to ask God, and to develop the right community around you that will challenge you to grow, and your friends, and your environments, and your mentors. What's the last thing that I missed? In your church, I'm challenging you to grow. Do me a favor. We've come to the end of this conversation, but not to the end of this season. Do me a favor, copy this link, share it with somebody, and say, hey, Peculiar You the podcast just dropped the first episode of season 3, and I think you should check it out. In the meantime, in between time, know that I love you, and remember to always, always keep it peculiar. Peace.